Just what does it mean to come back here and be able to play or just as an opponent tonight?
Yeah, AZ was good to me, but I'm way happier where I'm at now. It was good to see people. It was fun to play in front of some fans. But for me, I'm way happier in Indiana.
That had to have been one of, if not the most embarrassing loss of the season for the Indiana Fever so far. We lost to the Atlanta Dream earlier in the season, 77-58. We lost to the Valkyrie earlier in the season, 80-61. And tonight, against the Phoenix Mercury, we lose 95-60.
And Steph, obviously, Sid had that injury and Ari left, I think, in the fourth quarter.
Yes.
Just what's the status of?
Well, it's Sid's left knee, Ari's right foot, and we'll get some more evaluation when we get home tomorrow and see where we are.
Does this team practice? What I saw tonight looked like what I saw a month ago. Looked what I saw 3 weeks ago. Absolutely no offensive game plan. I thought this motion offense is when it's nobody's night in and night out. Everybody's allowed to have a night. If Kelsey Mitchell doesn't play well, it needs miraculous efforts from the rest of the team to pick this up. Sophie Cunningham played great tonight. Kelsey Mitchell had a bad game. Bad game. Where's everybody else?
It wasn't just a blowout loss. It wasn't just a bad night in Phoenix. This was the game where Sophie Cunningham, standing alone in enemy territory, didn't just battle on the court.
Sophie Cunningham making her return to Phoenix, and it seems as if nobody on our team other than Sophie Cunningham felt any type of emotional connection to this game. DeWanna Bonner just got done doing your team absolutely dirty. You guys escape with a victory when they come to Indiana, and you wipe your hands of it like it's all over and finished with. No, it goes both ways. You don't think we want to beat her on her home court? You don't think we want to get a W for Sophie Cunningham, making her return to the team that she spent her whole entire career with up until this point?
Sobley, tough shot. Wasn't square, and here comes Indiana. Cunningham, another three. Oh my goodness, Sophie Cunningham!
She lit a match off it, exposing the truth about how DeWanna Bonner really walked away from Indiana. And once you hear what Sophie revealed, you'll never look at that so-called revenge game the same way again.
This game meant just as much to Sophie Cunningham as it did to the Indiana Fever when DeWanna Bonner made her return. The only difference is nobody on the Indiana Fever had Sophie Cunningham's back this time around. Sophie Cunningham was the only player trying hard. The only player giving effort, play in and play out. The only player getting into it with Alyssa Thomas, getting into it with DeWanna Bonner, getting into it with Kalia Copper, while everybody else just mailed it in. This game was embarrassing.
Do you see that? DeWanna Bonner hit her first three-point shot in about 6 months and runs down the floor after losing her starting spot to Lexi Hull. Runs down the floor and calls Lexi Hull a bomb to her face. DeWanna Bonner is out here calling Lexi Hull a bomb to her face.
From the moment the ball tipped, you could tell something was wrong. Indiana didn't just stumble out of the gate. They fell flat on their face.
It was, yeah, I don't know, emotions are kind of high. Honestly, it's just been a journey to get back to just being happy playing basketball again. Yeah, I'm just, the joy, trying to find that. For a minute, basketball was kind of like off the radar for me a little bit. I didn't know if I loved it anymore. Like, I had a long conversation with Alyssa. So just to feel that again, feel that energy, feel this from that building was just amazing. And I feel like it was a game that I needed to, remind me, like, I love this.
Look at Bonner. And Cunningham's kind of got that innocent who me grin going, and nobody's buying it.
Wow, what a steal by Bonner, stepping right into it. And Sophie knows that doesn't want to create anything more. A little holding on. You think this is becoming a rivalry?
Oh, they're letting her have it now. They gave Cunningham a big ovation.
The shots weren't falling, the passes were off. And before most fans had even finished their popcorn, the Mercury were pulling away with ease. The scoreboard told a brutal story. Phoenix 95, Indiana 60, a 35-point loss.
For sure. I mean, it sucks, right? You don't ever want to see anyone be injured on any team. I feel like there's been a lot of injuries this year in the W, harsh ones, I think. And, it's just another one. And Sid is still the heartbeat of our team. She's going to be okay. Our team's going to be okay. And, again, it's just another hurdle that we're going to have to get over.
Did you see that when DB came back and played for us, that they got mad that our fan base was booing her?
I don't believe in booing former players unless they left on like some F you type shit.
Indiana shot a miserable 34.3% from the field and an even uglier 7 of 30 from three-point range. 22 turnovers handed Phoenix 42 free points. That's not just losing, that's self-destruction. This wasn't a team figuring out a new game plan.
I like DB because like DB was one of my vets when I was in Phoenix, and then we gathered here into Indiana, and like it was kind of a surprise that she was signed to Indiana anyway, and so we'll take her in a heartbeat. Like, she's a Hall of Famer, she's a hell of a basketball player, can score from anywhere on the court.
This was a team looking completely lost, and the worst part, it felt familiar. Fans had seen this exact brand of collapse before. No adjustments, no spark, no sign that lessons had been learned from earlier blowouts.
But she got to Indiana and she just like really wasn't happy. And like, I want people to be happy. So that's why I'm kind of like neutral on this one, which a lot of people are surprised about. She's towards the end of her career. So like, she deserves her flowers. She deserves to be happy. But I also think that if you're going to leave, like, you're going to have to expect getting booed. Like,
was there explanation when it happened? No. Not even privately? Yeah, I mean, okay. That's tough. And, yeah, okay. Well, I did say what? Unless you leave on some fuck you type shit, and that's what that is, so.
Phoenix, meanwhile, was treating every bucket like a playoff dagger. Every stop, every steal, every three-pointer came with extra celebration.
Like, I'm still rooting for her. Like, I want her to end her career and be happy. But I also think that, like, it's okay to be professional about it. And, like, send a text to your teammates. Send a text and be like, hey, like, love you guys. Or you don't even have to say love you guys. Just like, hey, sorry this didn't work out. Good luck. Da-da-da-da. You know what I mean? Like, there's a way to handle that, I think.
Indiana, heads down, shoulders slumped, waiting for the buzzer to end the misery. But what happened after the game? That's where things really got interesting.
I doubt DeWanna Bonner had any idea that how dirty she did her teammates on her way out of Indiana would ever come out to light. But Sophie Cunningham said, hold my beer. I got a podcast. I got this platform. I'm going to speak my mind. I'm not going to toe the company line. I'm not going to protect narratives. I'm not going to follow agendas. I'm going to tell you how it all went down. And DeWanna Bonner disappeared like a ghost.
Rimming out. Cunningham picks up the board. Here she comes. Sophie steps into the three.
Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo. Is loving being in Indianapolis. She loves this team. She's feeling it on these.
Cunningham hesitates. Ball on the deck. Sweet dish inside for Timpson.
If there was one player wearing a Fever jersey who looked ready to go to war, it was Sophie Cunningham. 18 points, efficient shooting, relentless hustle.
Phoenix doing a nice job on the boards. We talked about that, leading by 10.
Wow.
7-17.
You look at all the stats that you love as Cunningham buries,
Staying hot.
buries another triple.
It's a tough call, and here's going to see the shot by the three-pointer against Copper.
Sably, top shot. Wasn't square, and here comes Indiana. Cunningham, another three. Oh my goodness, Sophie Cunningham!
She wasn't just playing, that she was competing, barking back at defenders, standing up to Phoenix veterans, and refusing to let the game turn into a total embarrassment without a fight. For Sophie, this wasn't just another road game, it was her return to Phoenix, the team she'd poured years of her career into before coming to Indiana. And you could feel it in every possession. She knocked down big shots, battled for loose balls, and kept jawing with players who clearly didn't expect her to push back. But as much as she fought, one player can't drag an entire team uphill against a locked-in opponent. The rest of the Fever looked disconnected, like the energy wasn't there. Still, Sophie wasn't done. Her biggest shots of the night weren't the ones that fell through the net, they were the ones she fired into a microphone later. On the other side of the court, DeWanna Bonner was having her moment. 23 points, high-energy defense, trash talk dialed up to 11. Every made shot came with a stare down. Every defensive stop turned into an opportunity to chirp at the Fever bench. At one point, she allegedly called Lexi Hull a bomb to her face after draining a shot. That's not just confidence, that's making it personal. The Mercury crowd loved it. The broadcast hyped it up. The narrative was obvious. Bonner, the former Fever star, had gotten her revenge. But here's the thing about revenge stories, they're a lot less impressive when you know the whole story. And Sophie Cunningham was about to pull back the curtain. As if the scoreboard wasn't painful enough, the Fever watched two more blows land, this time in the form of injuries. Sydney Colson went down clutching her knee. Arie McDonald started limping with a foot issue. Two key players gone in the middle of a blowout. The impact was immediate. Indiana's already thin rotation got even thinner, and Phoenix smelled blood. But while Fever players gathered around their injured teammates, checking on them and offering support, Bonner and the Mercury kept celebrating like it was Game 7 of the finals. That contrast was striking. One side focused on their people, the other on their performance. And it set the stage perfectly for what Sophie was about to say. A few days later, Sophie Cunningham sat down for her podcast and decided it was time for the truth. She started by giving Bonner credit, a Hall of Fame caliber player, an undeniable scorer, someone who could take over a game. But then came the twist. According to Sophie, when Bonner decided to leave Indiana mid-season, she didn't just pack up and go. She didn't talk to her teammates. She didn't thank the organization. She didn't even send a simple goodbye text. Think about that. Months of practices, road trips, and locker room moments gone without a word. No explanation, no closure, just silence. Sophie made it clear she wasn't trying to be petty. She even said she wanted Bonner to be happy, especially toward the end of her career. But she also said something that hit like a hammer. If you're going to leave, at least be professional about it. At least let your teammates know. Her exact sentiment, if you walk out like that, you can't be surprised when people boo you on your return. That single revelation reframed everything about the Phoenix game. Bonner's night wasn't about proving something against a team that wronged her. It was about flexing on teammates she couldn't even be bothered to say goodbye to. Meanwhile, Indiana's young core, Sophie, Lexi Hull, and others, kept showing up for each other, even in a blowout loss, even with injuries piling up. Lexi Hull didn't back down when Bonner tried to intimidate her. Sophie kept pushing until the last whistle. The culture gap couldn't have been clearer. Fans noticed too. Social media lit up with praise for Sophie's honesty and frustration at Bonner's quiet exit. It wasn't about talent. It was about loyalty, respect, and the willingness to stand beside your team when things get tough. Losses like this hurt. They sting in the moment. They make highlight reels for all the wrong reasons. But they also define teams. Not by the score, but by how they respond. Caitlin Clark's return looms on the horizon. With her back in the lineup, the Fever's offensive firepower jumps instantly. Combine that with a core that's battle-tested through nights like Phoenix, and you've got a recipe for something bigger than a single revenge game. Bonner may have had her moment. But Sophie and the Fever? They're building something. Something that lasts longer than a victory dance over an undermanned roster. When the buzzer sounded in Phoenix, the box score told one story, but Sophie Cunningham told another, one that won't fade as quickly as the scoreline. She revealed a truth about professionalism, respect, and what it means to actually lead. Bonner's 23 points will be remembered for a week. Sophie's words will be remembered for a season. Because when the dust settles, fans don't just remember who won. They remember who stood by their team, who fought for every point, and who had the courage to speak up when no one else would. If you stand with Sophie, drop it in the comments. Spicy Sophie. And remember, sometimes the most important wins don't happen on the scoreboard.